one is actually a really great set of awareness. It's a huge awareness. So when I work with OCD people and I ask them, so how aware are you that you haven't even acknowledged, their whole world just lightens up. So for example, I had a client I was working with, a male who was in his 30s, and he had those major OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, rituals going on. He would, count, and he would, use hours for his compulsive rituals, and he would be so extremely troubled by it. And then he had all those compulsive thoughts in his head about getting sick, and yeah, it was really major, and the doctors didn't know what to do with him anymore. So I was working with him and asking him questions, as I do, doing the pragmatic way. And I asked him, so all of those things that are actually going on, if you close your eyes, expand out, who does it belong to? And so the more we asked those questions, and especially with him, he started to acknowledge that, wow, majority of what he was troubling himself with actually was an awareness of the reality around him, and especially of his mom, who is an excessive, extreme worrier. She would just worry about everything, and he always tried to take care of her worry by taking it on and making it his. So he basically tried to heal her worry, take it out of her world and take it on, buy it as his, except it never works. And this is something I see with so many clients. They try to take stuff out of other people's bodies, out of other people's minds, try to take care of them, but it never works. Of course, you can never heal something that's not yours. So when he started to acknowledge that most of the stuff that he worries about actually isn't his whole ritual stuff totally ceased, and he was no longer OCD. And he could start using his awareness to his advantage. So using your awareness to your advantage means your awareness is basically like a huge, big internet. It allows you to have the information about everything at all times. And instead of trying to work hard to figure it out or to think it into existence, you are actually tapping into the universal awareness where you know everything at all the time. It's like really huge internet. And when he started to use that, he got out of this OCD rituals, and now he's starting to become a teacher, and he's really inspired to help other kids and other adults with OCD and their troubles. And he is starting this major, amazing career because he uses his capacity to his advantage now. So having enough projects going on to not become OCCC, which is Obsessive Compulsive Creator of Crap, because that's just a fun diagnosis. So Obsessive Compulsive Creator of Crap is OCCC, which is because, if you have those capacities and you slow yourself down, you start creating havoc. You start creating crap rather than possibilities because you're so bored. There's so many kids in schools that are so bored with the rate the school is going on, like it's so slow, that they're rather creating difficulties and problems rather than being taught and inspired to use their capacities to their advantage. I meet kids like this all the time in my practice, and when they start to acknowledge what they truly are capable of, they stop creating problems in school like fights or tantrums or stuff like that. Cool. So, and where are we now? We are here, and then we had OCD and autism. Well, I talked about autism already. It's really a totally different way of functioning in the world. And like when you ask yourself, what is your first language? What if it's not English or German or whatever you think your first language is in your head? What if our first language actually is energy? Energy is something that's connected, and now we have a thing called the string theory, which actually starts to prove that we are all interconnected in a way that's not from a cognitive point of view, where we connect to each other with thinking and judgments, but rather where we connected to each other, something that's outside of our bodies and beyond our bodies. And this is something that especially autistic people are very, very aware of, and that's very natural to them. So I mentioned this example earlier on the intro call where, there was a lady who, her son was throwing a tantrum because he told her, Mom, can you please get me juice from the fridge? But he didn't tell her with words, but he just let her know that he wanted juice. So the mom went to the fridge, and when she went to the fridge and opened the door, she asked her son with words, honey, would you like to have some juice? And the son started to throw a tantrum. And the mom was like, why is he throwing a tantrum? Well, because he already told her that he wanted some juice, and she picked it up without them using words. And then she asked him if he wanted some juice, which means that she made herself slower. She asked him something that he already knew. And he's like, why are you asking me? Why do you need to make yourself so stupid? I already told you I want some juice, and you already picked it up, and you're already at the fridge, so just give me the juice, please. So this was basically what he was communicating with the tantrum he was throwing. And this is something that I see all the time with autistic people and Asperger, and especially autistic people, where they're throwing tantrums because their parents are not acknowledging that they already are communicating without words. Like, how many times are you just know how your kids are doing, what's going on for them, without you even using languages. This is the capacity we all have, and especially autistic people. So ask yourself, what is my first language that I haven't acknowledged? And this is where you start to acknowledge that you're so much more than you're thinking, you're feeling, and you're emoting. And what if you could start to fully receive your ADHD, ADD, and autistic and OCD capacity? How much would that actually change your life? Because you don't have to have the diagnosis, the labels, to where a doctor or a psychologist told you, oh, you have autism, you have ADHD. Like, many people do have those capacities, even if they don't have the labels. And especially now at this time that we're having in this world right now, there are very many people who start acknowledging those capacities. And what if you could receive those capacities for you and use them to create your reality? How much would that change and expand your whole life? This is where you start to allow yourself to be different rather than trying to fit into the box of normality, being normal, being like everybody else and fitting in. You start to be you. You start to expand and open up your view, your perspectives to a totally different reality. And when you're being you, you're inspiring others to be you. It's like, and for me as a psychologist, instead of trying to be a normal psychologist, I just, explore as many possibilities as possible. I expand my awareness, I expand my consciousness on a daily basis, because it gives me so much more of me. And the more I be me, the more I inspire my clients and my patients to be all they are, beyond their wrongness, beyond their labels, beyond their disability, and inspire them to be the brilliant genius beings that they truly are and access what they truly know. So what if you could be that for everybody, whether you're a therapist, a social worker, a parent? We can be this for ourselves, and we can be this for everybody else. Cool. So